Yes, 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 yes. What's up, good people? What's happening out there? I'm MC Till. You are tuned into the Boom Bap Chat number 116. We have an incredible guest tonight that we are about to introduce. But first, I am representing Everybody's Records tonight. It is a dope record store here in Cincinnati, Ohio. If you can get here to Cincinnati, first call me up so I can go meet you over there because I'm always over there. And go support them. Check them out. They always support the local scene. We want to support them. Check them out online at everybodysrecords.com as well. Profound, who you representing tonight, man?
Man, I'm representing Profound Music Group. Myself, really, in the company that I have and the things that we doing, man, with hip hop and putting this album out, putting these albums out, EPs and all of that, and of course on the production levels, of course.
I love it, man. Pulling a Snoop Dogg. I want to thank myself for believing in myself.
Who got me here? Me. That's who.
Right,
who do I trust? Me. That's who.
Yo, thanks, Profound. iomos, man. Who you representing tonight?
I represent Negro League Clothing, straight out of Chicago. You feel me? So yeah, that's what it is. And Henry Record Store in Toronto.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, no
right
doubt.
on. Very good. Well, let's jump in. Tonight's guest helped craft, in my personal opinion, one of the greatest debut hip hop albums of all time, Bizarre Ride to the Pharcyde. Then he crafted one of the greatest sophomore albums of all time in LabCabinCalifornia. He went on to release more music with his group, The Pharcyde, as well as solo projects, and he's still at it to this day. In fact, to this minute, he's still at it. He's an incredible artist all around, and we are thrilled to have him here. Please join me as we welcome to the Boom Bap Chat, SlimKid3.
What's good? What's good?
Yep.
All right.
SlimKid3, man, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Oh, man, doing pretty good, man. I really can't complain, man.
Right on.
I'm going to keep it real positive.
Yeah, right on, man. Well, before we get into the first question, one of the things we often do in this show is give flowers, pay homage to our guests that have inspired us, and you are certainly in that category. And I remember as a young one just falling in love with the native tongues like De La Soul and A Tribe Called Quest, and like anything that sounded like that, I just couldn't wait to get my hands on. And when I heard Bizarre Ride to the Pharcyde for the first time, I was like, this is kind of that, but it's different. It's just like, it's nothing I've ever heard before. I just fell in love with that album. And then, LabCabinCalifornia after that. And those two albums made a huge impression on me just as an individual, as an artist, and all around, like just a huge influence. And so I just want to thank you for, playing a part in creating those. Yeah.
No problem.
Thank you for that. Yeah, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the first question I want to ask is, some artists, we've had like Speech on here from Arrested Development and like Drez or Black Sheep, and some artists, like, they really like going back and they like talking about, their first albums and like the 90s and all that. And then some artists are like, nah, I don't really want to talk about that. I want to talk about the new music and I really don't want to go back there. Where do you fall like in these conversations that you have? Do you like going back and talking about that stuff, or do you like to kind of move on and talk about what's happening now?
Well, I'm a DJ, so when I do a party called the Throwback, and so that said, I love it. I love it. Here's what there was a time where I hated where we were, because we were on stage singing this shit every day. You know what I mean? It's just like, dude, I don't want to hear this shit no more. Right. And so like after a while, I mean, like literally for like 3 or 4 years, just the whole deal on stage, and it's just like, it's redundant, right? And so once I took the perspective of, this ain't about me, this is about our fans, and this is about, giving them what they deserve, which is the love that they heard from the records that we made. And once I kind of put it in a perspective like that, I started doing it differently in my own mind, so I can give them what they deserve, no matter, I don't get tired no more. You know what I mean? I just dive into, like, meditatively what this is really about. And people want to hear that, just like they want to hear it like they heard it on the record. You know what I mean? And just really like taking that approach to it. And I remember how we thought about performing. We have to treat it like it's our first show or our last show. That means we got to give it 1,000% every time, no matter what. So when we could be having major beef backstage, right? Nobody give a fuck about nobody. But as soon as that music is on and we hit that stage, all of our problems don't come on stage with us. It's about what we're doing, and it's about like support, listening. Like we have to listen to each other. Like, okay, he fell out on his verse, on that part of the verse. I got to pick up his part. You know, like we're one organism. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you like we're an octopus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or we're one organism, and that's how we have to do this thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so our fans don't deserve to hear our problems when they come to the show, because they got problems of their own,
right?
They want to escape, and they come to the shows so they can get lifted. I ain't dragging I'm not dragging my shit into the shows. You know what I mean? So we get on stage and we do that damn thing. You know what I mean? We go to our rehearsals. We have lockouts for our rehearsals, like, you know, 8 to 10 hour lockouts. Literally, we'll be there for a long time, go take a lunch, then go back. You know what I mean? Like we take it serious. And that's how, like, I respect that about us. And I don't know why that happens to us. It's, you know, like our ancestors is doing that to us or whatever. Honestly, like, I feel like the spirit of the PHARCYDE itself, it will sprawl us out, and we're all doing solo shit, and it'll bring us all back together. You know, I think it sprawled us out for us to all, you know, grow up and be men and learn shit and learn different things, and it brings us back together. And it's just we're listening to this God creature, the Pharcyde, kind of like sing to us and tell us what to do next.
Wow.
And so as we're listening to her, we're like coloring by numbers, and we in that vibe, because this vibe of this energy is blessing us every day. I wouldn't be in this house that I live in without this vibe of this energy blessing us about it. So like when it's time to step to the mic or step to the stage or whatever, we're honoring that shit to the whole fullest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we take this music very, very, very seriously. Our mentor that, you know, brought us up, Reggie Andrews, who just recently passed away, he was a part of the Daz band. You know, if you guys know the songs Let It Whip and all of that stuff, or Patrice Rushen, he produced stuff like that. So when we were at SCU at his school, there was the bar was high. We were so far under that bar, bro, because back then it wasn't easy to get into the business like it is now. You couldn't you couldn't just throw your demo tape out there because it's your cousin or whatever, you know what I mean? Or it's your homie around the block, and you know, it's some cool shit. It's like, bro, your shit needs work, but nobody telling them. And nobody being up front with nobody. I feel like we in the culture of nobody being up front with nobody about they whack ass shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like myself included. Like I'll be over here like, ooh, this is the shit. And then wind up like, damn, that's a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Until you make it the shit. Dude, that's the shit. Until you make it that. You know what I mean? And that all takes time. And you don't know when these different parts is coming together until the parts actually arrive, or the vocalists actually arrive with the texture of voice to go like butter across the track.
Yeah.
But that's the environment we was brought up in. And when I say the bar was high, is because back then is because we didn't know that we were even going to get signed, because you had to compete with the Michael Jacksons, the Prince, the all those real singers, real soul, like Stevie Wonder.
Right.
Come on, man. And when Stevie Wonder when Stevie Wonder goes missing, in a sense of we ain't heard a record from him in a while, and when he comes back with the Talking Book, you're like, my God, that's the type of hiatus we need to be taking at times, because we are really absorbing everything around us to make soul music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like when I listen to, you know, different groups or whatever, you know, I'm gonna have to big up some like Earth Gang. I'm like, them motherfuckers is fire.
Right.
They found whatever that thing is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or Samino is dope. They found their thing. Everybody, I just want y'all to just go find your thing, whatever that is. To find your own sound is like, that's where you put the money at.
Yo, Earth
that's
Gang
that's where you spend the money. Finding your niche.
Earth Gang is those young boys that just came out from LA, right? Is that Earth Boys?
No. That's Coach Contra, who is fire too.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
Razkaz's kids is in that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, super fire.
Yeah, they're
And
dope.
so I feel like as the degrees of separation from us and them, they come from the same bowl of soup as all of us in LA.
Yeah.
Because we all be looking at each other like, hey man, yo, get your is that the hot shit? Are you sure? You know what I mean? We all be checks and balances with our folks in LA. Freestyle Fellowship, Razzcast, Wascals. I mean, you name it. And I'm glad that we have an ear for each other like that. You know what I mean? And supporting each other like that. The Coast Contra's doing their damn thing. They're like
they are.
They carrying a torch big time for the culture, not just for LA, but for the culture. And that's just important. And one thing I really respect, because I'm gonna babble for just a second, because as I'm talking about it, I'm thinking about LL Cool J, who has, Rock the Bells, his Rock the Bells program that's up right now. And what they post on Rock the Bells and what they support on Rock the Bells is everything from the beginning to the middle to where we are now. And I'm just like, man, this is really big of them, because they were the ones that had the bar so high. They were the ones that had us respecting hip hop before we stepped in. It's like, when you step into hip hop, it's like a room of white carpet and you coming in with muddy shoes. Like, yo, dog, take your shoes off at the door.
Right.
Come in clean, come in with it. You know what I mean? And so that's what I like about like reminiscing about the old, because you had the KRS Ones, you had the DOS Effects, you had the EPMDs, you had the Kwame's, you had these are like, the shit was, and all the folks that I mentioned just now, they had their own lane and their own square. And when you dove into that lane or that square, yo, you was in the building of whatever that was. And so when you hear Pharcyde, you're in the building for whatever the fuck that was. Or when you hear 3 Feet and Rising, you're in the building for what that was. Or People's Instinctive Travel with Tribe Called Quest, you're in the building for what that was. Or Diamond D. It just goes on. And that's what I love, or that's what I loved about hip hop. And I can't wait for us to all arrive there again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So listening to Bizarre Rides of the Pharcyde now, it's like I feel like I'm on autopilot, but I can't wait to have a sit down with my own classic music, Bizarre Rides of the Pharcyde or Lab Cabin, to see what the fuck I was talking about. Nigga, does that still resonate with me?
Right. Yeah.
Or did I just make that shit up? Like that rhyme sounds, contrived, or I don't know. We do that to ourselves. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We pick ourselves apart because we want to get better, and we want to make sure that what comes out is really what the message that we're trying to send too. Is it real? Is it realistic? Is it, am I stepping on any toes? Am I being something that I'm not? All these parts.
Yeah.
Am I being honest? So
yeah. You talked about the Pharcyde almost as like this divine thing, like bringing you back, and talked about ancestors, which I thought was a really beautiful description. Really resonated with me. Yeah. And iomos, I wanted to throw to you, man, to see if any of Trey's words resonated with you, or if you had a question along those community lines.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that, like I remember growing up in Chicago, basically like having those like gatekeepers. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but I remember when I used to go into like ciphers or whatever, and they'd be like, "You ain't ready yet, bro." And you would get upset at the moment, but then you'll go home and hone your skills. And then when you come back and get that head nod from the same person that like you told you to go check. So what was that for you? Like, what were those spaces for you in like LA?
Man, I guess, there's a lot of, I guess, me checking myself first and foremost for real. I used to do like 3 or 4 verses for one song. Wow. I would do a verse, and then I would try to outdo that verse that I did of my own verse. Wow. And I try to outdo that one. And then we land on what's best. And it's like the way that we kind of look at songs too is like, is this a good first verse, second verse, or is it a great cleanup third verse? And that's how we do things too. Like, so I might think my shit is fire. It's like, nah, you want to put that in second. That's a good second, but we still need a great entrance verse, and we still need a great exit verse. You know what I mean? Or nigga, we don't need your verse at all. And don't take it personal. And don't take it personal. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't take it personal. But I feel like if we all just like kind of lean into what does the song want from us, and that's when I lean in, I'm leaning into her. As I said, the Pharcyde energy. I lean into what she's singing or saying, or what I'm picking. What the vibe? What's the vibe? And she say, yeah, then I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna stand behind it. And then sometimes she just wants us to kind of purge what's inside us. You know what I mean? Sometimes, like, let's say I kick a whack verse, but all the material, the content on the inside is real as fuck.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to let that fly. Why? Because the performance is honest.
Right.
You know what I mean? So whether a person think it's whack or not, no, that's honest. That shit really happened. This is something that needs to be spilled. You know you know what I mean? And I let it be what it is sometimes. You know, because here's the deal though too, man. A lot of motherfuckers be like kind of dangling like little fool's gold and shit, you know, like, and niggas is dope. Motherfuckers is real dope. But are they real honest with themselves?
True.
You know what I'm saying? Are they real honest with yourself? I mean, like, you don't have to like punch niggas out or kill nobody or none of that shit to be like real. Are you really, really honest to the factors of what you going through right now? It could be something a topic totally different. And that is something that we need. We're opening it up, and we're giving them soul music. Because it is actually our soul. You know what I mean? So believe me, I got to comb through my verses and lyrics all the time. And things that I thought was dope when it was coming out, but then there's the edit time. So when we're combing through it, I write unfiltered and we edit later. It's very important to write unfiltered and then kind of go through it and edit later. If it sticks, it sticks. If it needs a better performance, it needs a better performance. And I remember Imani, because I was like, man, Imani. So I flew down and I went and did some songs with him. And I was like, yeah, I'll probably have to come back and redo it. He's like, nah, remember, we took verses from Passing Me By from the cassette tape on a 4-track. That was the performance. And I was like, shit, I have to remember that. You know what I mean? And sometimes people be trying to be too perfect. And you'll miss the hits. Perfect.
That's so interesting that you said that, because one of my colleagues, you know, shout out to Marco Ademovich, he was telling me that it's okay to grow in the midst of creating. How do you feel about that? Like, I like what you said, like, you don't have to be perfect when it comes to, so you allowing your listeners to see the progression in your growth as you're creating. Do you think how do you feel about that statement?
I feel like your whatever your tribe or your cult following is, they with you. They already jumped in the car. You know, whether they got a seatbelt on or not, you know. That's what it is. And sometimes we go through some bumpy roads. And then sometimes we like, now we in this fire jungle. Like, what the fuck is this? Oh my God. Can we, and you can never stay there. It's a continuum of an evolution of a forwardness, right? You can never stay there. You're always going to grow. So I would say, you know, for me, I got to make sure that I know how to double dutch through beats. I just do.
Yeah.
I'm really good at it. You know what I mean? But that comes from, like, you know, just repetition, you know. So it's like you can almost lie to motherfuckers basically, because you hitting them with the run. It's almost run of the mill for you, because it's like, okay, I'm gonna just give them, you know, I'm who I am and here it is. But to really like kind of dive in is different. Dive in is different, because you're not just gonna just throw them anything. Because you talented like that.
Right.
So I remember one time we were in Moscow, me and Lip, and you know, we were talking about, he was talking about like, oh yeah, I got blah blah blah, something in the source, I got, you know, the top verse or whatever the fuck it was. And I was like, Lip, I don't want you to get stuck on your past, you know, successes, because you will get stuck. and everything you make is going to try to be somewhat around how do I, how do we get that vibe? How do we get Bizarre Ride again? Oh my God, people have been wanting to get Bizarre Ride again for so many years. But we can't even get to that until we're unlocked. When you're unlocked, you step into the next Bizarre Ride record, if it's going to be called Bizarre Ride. You know what I mean? You step into the next thing. So like I learned to unlock myself. You know what I mean? Like, will I have another Other Fish? Shit, I don't know. I didn't even want the pain of what the Other Fish brought me. You know, niggas like, oh, I love how you sang that song. I was like, nigga, I was crying.
Wow.
That's some real shit that actually happened to me.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I was like, y'all think I'm singing? I was like crying my ass off. It was the worst part of my life ever.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And here's the thing about me unlocking is the version that you hear of Other Fish is a remix. And it wasn't until LAJ brought that beat that I heard the vibe and listened to her, the Pharcyde energy, and what I was going through to even emote that.
Yeah.
Them's was fucking feelings coming through like that. And I followed the energy of that feeling. Tear per tear per tear per tear. You know what I mean? It's like that was a fuck everything. Fuck everything, fuck everyone, fuck it all, dude. Wandering out in traffic kind of shit. Like I didn't have it all together, B.
Wow.
I didn't give a fuck. Right.
Wow.
And then we wound up, getting a record, and then we, this Other Fish song I wrote, and the beat that it was on, it was all right. And I was just regular rapping, But when LAJ brought that one beat, it opened my soul, and I had to honor what that energy was, and I had to chase the feeling of what that was, and that was that. When it was done, it was done. Same with She Said it's like another laying into the feeling.
Yeah.
That's why y'all getting what
you could definitely hear that. You could hear it.
Yeah.
And that song. Yeah.
It's about a nigga getting caught. I feel like at that one time, like She Said was I wasn't a good dude, like as far as like girls is concerned. So like, I had my girl, and then I just had like, situations, you know what I mean? And one time I'm driving in my car, and first I went out on a date with one of my situations, and we was chilling, and it just so happened that the girl wrote something on the window of my car, right? Or just with her finger. It was just like it wasn't no ink or anything. She just wrote it with her finger. And you couldn't see it. But this one night when I was chilling in the car with my girl and my real girl, and the motherfucking window got foggy, and what was present?
Oh
God damn. I was like, this is not okay.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it's like, nah, we can't. And then I was like thinking, you ever have the moment where like, damn, how does she know? Because I was like, man, this is all one energy, and she's all of them. That's how she knows. It's because she's all of them. I fell into that, and you can do that. You can do that with mentally what you want, but I'm aware. I'm just an aware type of ass nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel vibes, I feel energies. You know what I mean? And the energy that time was like, hey, nigga. You fucking up. You are fucking up. I'm like, aye, Captain. You gonna fuck me up like this. You cold-blooded, God.
That's a good
You are cold-blooded. This is God's ha-ha, man. God has ha-has, right?
Ha-has, yeah, for sure.
She has so many ha-has, bro.
For sure.
Anyway, so that's that all of our shit was pretty much real situation, real things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Profound, want to throw to you, man. See if you have a question.
Oh yeah, Slim. I want to know, going back then when y'all was popping, like your style, your fashion looked a little different. Like you had the dreads and everything else, And we want to know, like, was there significance behind you cutting the dreads and not rocking them anymore?
I got a sweet story. I got a
word
story for you for one. So, you know, like the dread things, like my Uncle Jerry, you know, I love him, man. I love you, Uncle Jerry. So I remember one day he's like, Trey, he's like, you know, I noticed your dreads, you know, I noticed you rocking your dreads a lot or whatever. He's like, but you know, what's up with the dread situation? Is it just, you know, is that something that makes you know, or just some, you know what I mean? It was something enough to make me go immediately the next day and shave my head.
Wow.
I shaved all of my dreads because I was like, these dreads don't fucking make me.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like it was almost like is this your persona? You know, and I feel what he was digging into. You know what I mean? Are you being real or who are you? Kind of deal. And I get that. And I was like, this shit don't make me. Zip, zzz, 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 zzz. Give a fuck. You know what I mean? So that was that purge. I had plenty purgy moments. You know what I mean? But it was a good tester because when I was out into the world, people didn't know who the fuck I was without my dreads. And I was like, fuck it. I have to be me. I have to be this soul entity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if they don't see me, then they didn't see me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then they never saw me. They only saw what they wanted, you know, out of a thing, like he was saying.
Yeah.
That
Wow,
shit
that's
fucked
deep.
me up when I heard that shit fucked me up, man. And I was like, nigga, I'm cutting my hair immediately. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, I'm family first. I mean, a family on a soul level first. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy that may sound like I'm so connected, or I feel so connected with my birth family, my uncles, my aunts, and all, like when I was young, all the stuff that I, you know, grew up with, the 70s, and it was just a crazy time of a different type of love.
Yeah.
A different type of being, you know what I mean? A different type of family gathering. Like that
so
shit,
true.
man, that shit,
Yeah.
it taught me how to love the world. You know what I mean? And growing up in the hood and stuff like that, the hood, it's like when you live in the hood and you're from the hood, you see it different because it look dangerous to everybody else, but to us, it's like, oh, this is my block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my block. These my people. These my the homies is looking out for grandma. Like, you know, it's just what it is. And I just loved all of that. I loved who we were. You know what I mean? I love who we are. And like even getting a phone call from my auntie or whatever, those are my aunts, nigga. So there is no SlimKid3. There is no dreads. There is none of that shit when I'm talking to my family, my aunts, my uncles. You know what I mean? Because this is Trey.
Yeah.
This is, you know what I mean? They know who I am. You know what I'm saying? And I know who I am, you know, and it's like I like to be grounded, and I like to have grounded moments, and people that aren't in hip hop or aren't celebrities or shit, that shit can like take your head in places that people don't understand. And it's like I like to have grounded spaces. So when I go to LA, sometimes I'm either kicking it with my grandma, or I'm kicking it with my taekwondo master, I'm kicking it with my godparents or whatever, because that's so grounding for me. Because we're part of a real world that's continuously moving and spinning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't like to like I don't like schmoozing. I don't like oh my God. It's just it's interesting. I don't be liking that shit, but I love making music, and this is what I know. That's what I'm supposed to be doing, and so I do that, and I love getting on the stage, and I love rocking for the crowds, and this that, and the other. But when it's time to go, I gotta go.
Yeah,
I gotta go get grounded again, so I don't lose myself to this thing that makes us forget what we're fucking here for, kind of deal. You know what I mean? So
I think Pa said it best.
That's kind of how I look at it. You know what I mean? I think Imani probably feel the same way. I feel like all of us probably feel the same way. We really have checks and balances, and we really look at each other like, nigga, you tripping. You know what I mean? So when I'm talking to my Uncle Jerry, he's like, nigga, are you tripping? Or are you? Nigga, I'm me. You know?
Yeah.
On everything I love, on the family. I am me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember, like, I'll share a quick little story, man, about my Uncle Jerry too. I remember when I was little, like he was in the army. And so I remember I used to we would always take him to the airport. Me and my mom would take him to the airport when I was like, I had to be like 6 or 5 or 6 or some shit like that. And we would watch, he would go into get on the airplane. And then I would watch, we wouldn't leave until the plane took off.
Mm-hmm.
I would just sit in the window till the plane took off. And so I remember he would, there was this one time he was taking me to the movies, but he told me the story. I always ask him about this. I was like, Uncle Jerry, remember that time you were jogging next to the bus, taking us to the movies, but you put me on the bus and you jogged from grandma's house all the way to downtown LA to where the movie was, right? This nigga did not rest. From grandma's house, he put me on the bus, talked to the bus driver. I'm sitting in the window watching him jog alongside of the bus the whole way to the movies. And then I got off the bus and we went to the movies. And I was like, wow. I was like, dude, that was impressive. He's like, you know why I did that? I was like, why? He's like, because I didn't have no money. I only had enough to
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Like I only had enough to, get us in the movies and get us back or whatever. But and also he used to run, in the military. They do their like mile runs with backpacks on.
Right.
All of that stuff. So for him, he was like in his regiment doing his regiments and shit. You know what I'm saying? And that was just an incredible story to see the things that we do for each other or with each other or what have you, and how safe we can be with when love is around or love is with you, kind of deal. You know what I mean? So like I'm just talking about this family kind of thing. And the relevance of, do these dreads make you this thing?
Right.
And my answer is fuck no, it does not.
Yeah. That's deep.
That was a long ass story to get to some
dope though.
You know what's interesting? Your brother, your uncle serving in the military, but not having enough money for the bus. Like,
isn't that wild?
You know what I mean? That's wild, bro.
Well, here's the deal. Like, I'm not gonna. No, he did something to not have that money at that moment.
Okay.
No, he had military money. He was still enlisted at this time. You know what I mean? So like he took me to movies that day, and then maybe a couple days later we took him to the airport to go back to Germany. You know what I mean? So it's like, he had bread.
Yeah. So something I really want. Something I really wanted to ask you about. Speaking of, family, there's groups like the Pharcyde and other groups, and I mentioned Native Tongues. That they kind of felt like, for me, that they were like a family, and like interviewing some of them, like you get that feeling that it wasn't like, hey, come sign up, come be in our band. It was just like natural human beings being good to each other and just kind of developing these really close, relationships, kind of with art kind of being the surrounding the nucleus. I'm curious to know, like, we wrote this book last year about the native tongues, and we capped it at certain groups. And people would say, like, well, why didn't you write about the Beatnuts? And why didn't you write about this group? And sometimes we would get people say, why didn't you write about Pharcyde? They were in native tongues. So I wanted to ask you, did you ever consider yourself, or did the Pharcyde ever consider yourselves part of the native tongues?
You know what, man, they treat us so well. From De La to Tribe. I mean, like, if it wasn't for Q-Tip, we wouldn't have had Jay Dilla. You know what I mean? That's so, yeah, we family. It is. And are we native tongue? If they say we native tongue, I'm native tongue.
Right. Yeah.
I'm you know what I'm saying? It's not something I don't want to say that I am without them blessing us to be that.
Right.
But we family, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're legit family. Like, they always been blessed to us. Whenever we having we having like bandmate problems and shit, we look at De La Soul and they'll be telling us, we take breaks. We don't take, you know what I mean? We don't quit. We don't quit. We take breaks, kind of deal. You know what I mean?
That's wise.
And that is wise. Or, or even like Be Real. Like, we have our big brother, so to speak.
Yeah.
To sit us down for counsel. And what I love about all of them, they'll definitely tell us about ourselves. You know what I mean? But they won't ruffle the feathers of, you know, we have to figure out our own problems kind of deal, you know, our own issues. And I get that. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh man, how come blah 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 won't tell XYZ about, you know, because this thing can be you know, whatever. Because I just want to make this situation better.
Yeah.
But you know, at the end of the day, they'll give me the jewels that I need. It's really funny how the universe works. They'll give me the jewels that I need, and it's up to me to kind of put those jewels back in the altar.
Yeah. That's dope.
To make the, you know, to make the shrine glow.
Yeah.
Deal. You know what I mean? Or to make the magic happen and shit, like Dora the Explorer and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fresh. I know, iomos, I know you took the Dilettante beat or Dilettante book up.
Oh yeah,
put that up.
Yeah.
Did you have a question about?
Yeah, I don't know. Have you read it? Have you read?
I have not read it because I haven't read a lot. Let me show you the book I just got. The Snoop Dogg Cookbook.
Oh snap! I didn't even know you had a cookbook.
Yeah. I haven't read the Dilla. I'm about to read this cookbook. But I haven't read the Dilla book because I gave that book to my sister. You know what I mean? It's like for me, it's like I lived that shit.
Oh, that's dope.
Wow.
On one side of it. And I know Dan Charnez, and he's super cool and everything too. You know what I mean? But one day I will sit down with that book and read through it because it happened. Then it's here, you know. And what's really cool, what's really crazy and cool and everything is like, you know, Dilla's in the Smithsonian. That means we're in the Smithsonian. You know, it's like we're getting blessed from the blessing that had. Like we're like one of the first motherfuckers to make Dilla shit relevant.
Yeah, I know. I was just about that. Yep, facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I always give blessed shouts and love to Slum Village, man, because they took sacrifices with tracks that was probably for them, for us to have them to be rocking this shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I remember sitting with Dilla, and he gave me this. We was mixing something. I don't know if we were mixing running or what. We were just at the mix studio, and he's like, "Yo, Trey," he's like, I got a group too," and I was like, "You got a group?" I was like, "That's what's up, man. What's the name?" He's like, "Slum Village." I was like, "Slum Village, that sounds dope."
Yeah.
And he gave me a DAT tape. Wow. I was like, "Shit, well, I'm gonna take this home and check it out," you know, because we had like, you know, like 24-hour lockouts when we was mixing and shit. So I was like, "Cool, man, I'll take this home and take a listen to it." Boy, oh motherfucking boy. Like you think you dope and you doing something, and then you put on Slum Village. It's like, God damn, they on a whole nother. God, nigga.
Was that volume 1? What he gave you, or was it something else?
What did it had? The one with the oh my gosh, what did it have on it?
You know what love is. Is that on there?
It could have been no, but I'm thinking about the one with James Brown. One.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't.
Man,
I don't know why.
Yeah. So good.
My man said it's him
too. And Conant Gardens too.
Yeah.
Right, all of that. So the way that they wrote, the way that they was riding on them beats too.
Yeah.
So
on, man.
Was there ever a Dilla beat that you all passed on that you heard later on and thought, dang it, should have got that?
Nah, it was so much going on.
Yeah.
So when we went to Q-Tip's house to even listen to the cassette with all the snippets of all those songs, we didn't even get a chance to really hear, yo.
Yeah.
We listened to the snippets and we're like, okay, so the ones that we picked was like, okay, running, that's just fire. Or bullshit, nigga, that's fire.
Yeah.
Or the ones we picked was fire. So when we were in New York, we was like in New York for like 6 months, right? Because first we were working on Lab Cabin album at Lab Cabin in California, and we had a bunch of songs. I was working on Hey You and She Said, and just just a few things, and we just recording, and then we came to a date where, all right, guys, let's have a seat and listen to everything that we got, and we probably had could have been like 15, 20 songs. And we sat down and we listened to all of that stuff. And we're like, still ain't got it.
Wow.
All right, well, let's call Q-Tip and see, what's up. And so we was making
But what made y'all think of Q-Tip? Like you just was just
because we went on tour with Q-Tip and we went on a tour of all tours that everybody wanted. And it was De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, and Pharcyde in Japan. In Japan.
Wow.
And we was like, motherfuckers would really have loved to have this one, right?
That's amazing.
So just being on tour with them, and then I think we did some other stuff when we were on tour with Tribe again, and Tip would come on our bus and roll out with us, and you know what I mean? It's like shit like that, and so we just, all just was hanging together, you know what I mean? So, and we knew what Tip was producing and shit, you know what I mean? So it was like, yo, when it came down to like who we want to fuck with, we was like, okay, hit up Q-Tip, Diamond D, and just get out to New York and get, we lived there. We lived in Soho, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Me and Lip had our little small apartment, and Imani and Imani and Romai, Booty Brown had their space, and we were going to Chungking and just all kind of different studios to write. We were just writing, you know what I'm saying? So I think we had about 60 songs or some shit like that. We was doing a lot of stuff, and you got to have a lot of songs before you can pick what's gonna be that thing. I think we did stuff with Showbiz as well. Wow. From Showbiz and AG. We did some tracks with him. There was a lot of so many people was coming through the studio. Most Def when he wasn't even out yet. 88 Keys.
88 Keys.
Homie Gingy Brown.
Gingy.
Look, we met Supernatural during that time.
Okay.
When we was out in New York. I was hanging out with my homie Hassan from I think UMC's just. Yo. And the thing about New York is it wakes up at night. So we would get up, be like 4:00, go to the studio, be there by 5, stay there for a long ass time, and then later me randomly walking the streets and shit until the sun came up. Wow. And then you go back to my hotel or my apartment, go to sleep, and do it all over again. You know what I mean? So it was a lot. And then, going out and going to parties, dancing, and just like you have to have input for output. So we going out, having the experiences of life, and everything, whatever that was, you know what I mean? And then coming back and having something to write about.
Yeah.
I think we connected with, did we connect with Bob Powers during that time?
Oh, wow.
I think we did. I think we connected with Bob Powers. We wanted Bob Powers to mix our record, but he was busy, and so we had to we used Tim Latham, who had that boom bap sound too, because we were down there to get that shit. We wanted our shit mixed right. We wanted everything to be how the type of music that we love. You know what I mean? Like the East Coast sound, and
Well,
he did that because that's what got us on the dance floor when we was as dancers. You know what I mean? Like we want to go where the source is.
Well, Tim Latham did a heck of a job.
He
that
did.
album sounds great. Yeah.
That's so interesting. The cross influence from the East and the West. Like hearing Q-Tip saying that him and Ali drove around New York listening to NWA, and that's what inspired. That's what inspired
cross pollination.
What was the low end theory?
Yo,
like he really was like, yo, okay, Dre coming like that, we need to come like this.
Okay,
and that's interesting to hear you say like y'all was into the New York sound being from LA.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, and like we grew up as battle dancers, breakers, and shit like that. You know what I mean? So it's like what I was intaking. I like shit like Looking for the Perfect Beat. I like shit like Tour de France. We was about it.
Yeah.
Like we dare a motherfucker to come dance battle us, man.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just and so that's how we are musically. We listening for that beat.
Yeah.
We don't give a fuck. We don't fucking care who you are. What's the beat say? You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, oh, we got this top producer, blah blah blah. We don't give a fuck what the beat say.
Right.
Yeah.
What the beat say?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's exactly how we were. We did not give a flying fuck.
So with that in mind, like so I'll give you an example. Like for us, when we lived so I'm from Chicago originally, so we was into New York too, the way we was dressing, and the dudes was like, man, if you don't get off that, man, you ain't from New York, you from. So how did that fare with y'all living in LA? Did y'all run into like any of that type of?
Well, okay, so first off, we was, like I said, we was b-boy breakers and shit like that. So we had the grungy, grimy dressing anyway, because when we go to the club, we go in to fucking get in a circle. We in the cypher.
No
you know what I mean? So that's what we was, we was in the cypher with, will.i.am and when Black Eyed Peas was at Band Clan, going to Guadalinda's, we was at Hollywood Live dancing in the circle. They was there too. You know what I mean? So we was all in the same circles and ciphers. And don't sleep on will.i.am.
That boy can dance, bro.
Yeah.
He's a beast freestyle.
All of them. Yeah, for sure.
Don't let the smooth taste fool you. He will roll the motherfucker up, dancing, producing, rapping.
Yeah, he hip hop to the bone.
So, yeah, I remember.
Hey, listen, he used to come to our house. He used to come to Lab Cabin and freestyle. He was like laying there on the floor in the living room with a newspaper open, freestyling the words and shit that's in the newspaper.
Wow.
It was just cool,
That's
man.
crazy.
He's just like, he was like one of the youngsters, you know what I'm saying? Like,
wow.
So just family. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope.
Dope. Slim, I got a question for you from the audience. Justin Matthew want to know how come plain rap is not available to stream.
Oh man, well, man, I love plain rap. I wish it was sequenced differently because I think it would. Cause I'm a DJ, man, so I know what songs should come after the next song. So that said, now that I got that off my chest, I love plain rap. I don't know why it's not on live streaming right now. That would be a Delicious Vinyl question. If he could go to like maybe Delicious Vinyl's, message board or whatever, and ask them or figure or say something about that. I think it should be there because there's some stuff on there too. And speaking of plain rap, I love plain rap for the sense of how we grew. Remember we were talking about how did you grow as an MC, or how did we all grow as an MC or whatever? Plain rap was a section because there was a record that we did in between plain rap called Testing the Waters. And this is me, Imani, and Beau Brown. And we really kind of came into, like, you can hear us getting better. You know what I mean? So like, I'm glad plain rap was brought up because it's probably like a little slap on record, but it's got some jewels and gems in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm proud of myself as an MC. I feel like I got better.
Yeah.
Between those two records.
Yes, and speaking of that music, I do want to make sure before we finish out celebrating some classic albums with you, I wanted to make sure that we touched on what you're working on, what you have coming out, a new project, right, with Imani and Fat Lip, produced by The Spear.
Go
ahead.
So this project right here,
there it is.
Put that up here. So this project, Imani, Fat Lip, and SlimKid3 is like the beginning of us, the three of us, getting back together. So this is why it's such a pivotal record and pivotal point. And also, like, this record, it couldn't have been a Pharcyde record because we were still wrestling around with the name issues. You know what I mean? So that's why it's Imani, Fat Lip, and SlimKid3. You know what I mean? But we were like really happy to be together again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? First and foremost. And Spirit of the Nation is Imani's cousin, Sisway, who's with this group called Lunar Heights. And we all collaborated with Lunar Heights, or they invited us on a collaboration on their song. And I think it's called Speak. I forgot what it was, but it was a good collaborative effort. And we did a video with them as well. And it was cool because that was the first time I like saw Imani, like really saw Imani again. Like, yo, It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Yo, we gotta get this back together. We gotta do something, yada yada. So it's like we were almost like kind of the Pharcyde lady energy was pulling us back together. And we did one song. The intention was to do just one song with them, and we wound up doing like 10.
Wow.
We wound up doing like 10. And so this is like this Imani Fatlip and SlimKid3 this is streaming on Spotify right now. Just type it in just as you see it, and take a listen to what came about from that. You know what I mean? And it's like, I was talking to Sway, Imani's cousin, and I was like, man, I think the ancestors brought us back together.
Wow.
I think this is because when we were working on all the music, I felt like we were just surrounded by our ancestors pulling everything. It just pulled it together just like that. It just came with ease.
Yeah.
And all was dope and all was blessed, and just like all the parts was falling into place. And that's kind of like, that kind of lets you know when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you're at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Because there's no distractions.
Right.
Nobody gets in your way. Like, dude, it was like, it's almost like the Red Sea was parted to allow us to walk directly to our destination, which was the path to get us to where we are right the freak now. And that's the beautiful thing about this project, and why I feel like it's, so important as a little pivotal moment for us. So, and it brought us to like, things that we're doing today, you know what I'm saying? And we haven't stopped working. We have not stopped working ever since.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's beautiful, man.
Oh, and another thing,
that's dope.
I gotta flash this shit.
Yeah, man.
So this, can you see that?
It's kind of like going in and out.
Going in and out.
If you put it closer to your body, and it might see it.
Yeah, there you
go.
That's
it.
So this right here.
What is that?
Shoes?
Is that a board game? Oh no, shoes. Yes, my dude just got those. Shout out to my man, Anthony.
Pharcyde shoes, bro.
Yes.
Wow.
That's crazy. My dude Anthony just hit me up on Facebook and posted pictures of them. He just got those.
Yeah, dude. So this, all this magic, has happened. This is all from us, like kind of
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing.
Just listening to the energy. So those shoes to me is telling me like the spirit of the Pharcyde is bringing us back together so that she can bless us.
Wow.
That's what it feels like to me. That's what it means to me. I shit you not. I feel like there's nothing in the way of, as long as I'm working on Pharcyde stuff, ain't nothing in my way.
That's awesome.
As long as we're like the energy calls for itself. I always have the money to go do stuff that we need to be doing. Like it just keeps landing in our laps, and that's a blessing. And I just really want to say thank you to all of our fans right now, because man, y'all keep the pulse of this thing pumping. You know what I mean? We vibe off of y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like we keep it 100 because of y'all, and the love of what we got. But man, you guys really helped to keep this thing going. It's 30 years.
Yeah.
30 years.
Wow.
So this year's the 30-year anniversary of Bizarre Ride to the Pharcyde.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's an incredible album. It has stood the test in time. It will continue to, for sure. I mean, we were jamming to it tonight before you came on. It's like
that's what's
they're
up.
timeless.
We were arguing.
We was definitely arguing.
Yes, that's what we was doing.
I'm on the LabCabinCalifornia side. And
Okay.
Phil is on
there you go.
Bizarre Ride to the Pharcyde.
We gotta ask you before we do our final one word segment. Which album is the better album, LabCabinCalifornia or Bizarre Ride to the Pharcyde?
That's like asking me which kid is ugly. Those are my kids, man. They got their own personality.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yep.
all of our kids have their own personality, and that's the beautiful thing of it.
Yeah.
And these new kids we got their own personality too.
True.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's where iomos and I landed, because he's definitely more Lab Cabin California. I'm more Bizarre Ride, and what we kind of came to is like they're both
dope,
similar
though.
quality.
Yeah.
It's just Bizarre Ride is like that experience, like it's just a wild ride. You know
what's funny about this too is, if you think about it, you ever have like salad dressing in the oil. They have like separate parts.
Oh, right, yeah.
You shake that shit up,
And mix
it
it.
goes well on the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mix it up.
But I highly understand, you know, the cult of Bizarre Ride, and I highly understand the cult of Lab Cabin. They're completely separate folks, bro. Legit.
And I have to say, what's amazing is that some groups will go like a different angle, and they might make a good album, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not like the original. Like, you all are one of the few groups that made a very different album, and they're both like similar classic status. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's easy to do.
Yeah, it's not. Like I said, you know, people have been trying to get us to have the energy and the soul and everything of Bizarre Ride, and there's no way that we can make that again.
Yeah.
You know, but what I did learn along the way is to unlock, be unfiltered, and just really have a lot of fun and see where that goes.
Yeah.
When you're creating.
Definitely,
You know
definitely.
Because that's going to bring, because whatever we put on y'all now is like, oh shit, I like this.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? What's crazy is like to see people with the album cover tattooed on their body.
Wow.
Right. Yeah, I bet that's nuts. Yeah.
Yo, that let me know who you down with. Oh, you a Bizarre Rider.
Right.
Wow.
You like that Lab Cabin? She's crazy.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, before we give our shout outs and get out of here, we want to play a quick game with you called One Word. I'm gonna play this little trailer for you that Profound put together, and then we'll jump in.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Okay, party people in the house.
Let's get ready to rumble!
In this portion of the show, we'll show an assortment of hip-hop albums and challenge our guests to describe them in one word or less. Do you accept the challenge?
All right, there it is. Do you accept the challenge, SlimKid3?
How do I see what y'all seeing?
I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna put it up.
Oh, you are? Yeah.
Yeah. So here it is.
I accept the challenge.
All right, one word. First album, one word response to Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar.
Fire.
Fire. Excellent. He's advanced to round 2, ladies and gentlemen. Next album is The Score by Fugees.
Man, genius.
Genius. Judges?
Yes.
Yes, he advances.
Yes.
He did say man at first, but we're going to give it to him. Yes, genius. That's a good word. People's Instinctive Travels and the Paths of Rhythm by A Tribe Called Quest.
Groundbreaking, amazing. I just have to say amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it just to be quite clear, you get lost in the trance. That I remember driving into Vegas in a car, like 10, all of us, Pharcyde and all of our homies. No money, headed to Vegas for a great time, listening to People's Instinctive Travel the whole way. And it just took you on a journey. Journey's the word. Journey's the word.
And I took you on a journey to get to the word, so you did not win that round, but that's okay.
I didn't win.
You don't get kicked out or anything. All right, the final one. I can't wait for this one. And we're going to talk about this one, so you can give your word, and then we can talk a little bit. This is 3 Feet High and Rising by De La Soul. Classic. Yeah.
Come on, man. Pivotal.
Yep.
Pivotal. Can I explain myself about that?
Yeah, you can go. Yeah, of course.
So you got I said I mean I would always tell people there is markers in the hip hop timeline where it was pivotal, everything took a pivot, or this set a new tone. So there was let's say LL Cool J Radio,
right.
Of course that was a pivot. Let's see, Run DMC was definitely a pivot. But let's get more detail. Then we have Beastie Boys.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pivot and a
It was.
and a change, right? Then there was 3 Feet High and Rising, which was a pivot, a shift, and a change. Then there was People's Instinctive Travels, which was a pivot, a shift, and a change. And then there was Bizarre Ride to the Far Side.
Yeah.
Pivot, shift, major changes. You know what I'm saying? So like when I see that record cover, it just reminds me of just, I remember, I mean, just even listening to that record, there's so many inside jokes that you don't really fucking
so many, bro.
But it's so dope. And then when you friends with them, then you're like, oh, that's what the fuck y'all saying. That's what y'all meant. And it's like it was amazing to kind of just enter into their world.
Yeah.
Whether it be that album or De La Soul Is Dead, you was just in their world. You know what I mean? And so that was really cool and important.
I love that you said that. Like when you're in their world, it reminds me of the movie, the guy who made If Beale Street Can Talk. I forget his name. And like you just stuck in this time span, you in his world until that movie ends.
Right.
Like it's just amazing. And that's the same with that De La album, man.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
Just in their world until
you
hit the last song, bro. Yeah,
they took us to the world of skits.
Yeah,
right. Yep,
they mastered the world of skits.
Yes.
In my opinion.
They really mastered it.
Yeah,
and yeah, man.
Yeah, dope.
Well,
listen, SlimKid3, it's been an honor, privilege having you on tonight. You jumped into man. Thank you. You jumped into LabCabinCalifornia a little bit and Bizarre Ride. If you ever want to do entire conversations about either of those albums, let us know. We could talk about those albums for days. Right. We would love to host that. Yes. But we appreciate you being here. And what we always do to end out, it's a hip hop show, so we always give shout outs. So we'll give some shout outs and then we'll throw it to you for the final shout outs.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Sounds good.
All right, Profound, let's start with you, man. Who do you want to shout out tonight?
Man, shout out SlimKid3, man. I appreciate you coming, man, and the contribution that you've given us, you and the whole crew. Thank you. We'd love to have you back, man, in the future, of course, man, so we can continue this conversation and make it, 2 hours. Good. Who knows? But I'm gonna shout out all 6 kids that keep coming to the room. Right? Man, bro. I'm almost done. But man, shout out to everybody, man. And wifey and my crew, of course, the Boom Bap Chat brothers, Io, Till, Joe, Bo, and Stowe. You know how we do, man. In Chicago, of course, man, keep it real.
Right on. iomos.
And shout out to brother Slim, you know what I'm saying? Thank you for coming through, my brother, and dropping gems, man. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Shout out to Pharcyde, the Bizarre Ride, and LabCabinCalifornia. Shout out to the whole crew, the Pharcyde crew, you know what I'm saying? Yes, and the Boom Bap brothers, and Chicago always, you know what I'm saying? Shout out LA for sure, for producing like Pharcyde and just amazing work, man. We looking forward to. We in tune, man. We waiting to hear the new stuff that's gonna drop. So appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just want to shout out Dante from Mood. If y'all remember, those checking the show, he was supposed to be here last month, but there were some traveling issues with the snow, so he couldn't be on the show. So we're gonna reschedule him. But shout out to him. Also, shout out to DeMar Hamlin. Being in Cincinnati, that was a big impact here, obviously, for his family and everyone that's close to him. And just, he's getting world-renowned treatment, and he's got the best doctors. And just think about all the people out there that have issues and they don't have the best doctors, or they may not even get to a doctor. So I just want to shout out people in pain, chronic diseases, heart issues that don't have the care that they need. So shout out to them, just trying to get by. And shout out to Homeboy Sandman, who's going to be our guest in 2 weeks. Can't wait. Love Homeboy Sandman. So tune into that. That's 2 weeks from tonight. And finally, shout out SlimKid3. Thank you so much for being here to the far side. Just really appreciate you, what you've accomplished in your career and what you've given the people, given us, all of the fans. And thanks for just coming and taking some of your time and some of yourself and sharing it with us. So thank you. And with that, we'll we'll turn it over to you for the final shout outs of the,
All right.
of the night.
I'll try not to keep it long. I like to say sorry I was late.
You're good, man.
Shout out to MC Till, Profound, Marcus, you guys. Thank you so much for the opportunity, the chance to be on here. This is one of the most fun interviews that I've had. And I'm not even making that up. And, shout out to Imani, Fat Lip, and Big Suave and our team, Pharcyde team. And man, it goes on and on and on. All the fans, all the people that showed up for you guys for this as well. Shout out to my family and my kids. They'll be like, where you at? I thought we was playing Mario Kart. Shout out to Mario Kart. I got you, my dude. I'll be there. And that's it.
Right on. Cool. And on that note, we say peace, peace, peace. We'll see y'all in 2 weeks.